next question, I'm going to tackle two questions at once, or at least I'm going to attempt to. The two questions were, how can I learn to hear better? And how to cancel out or get past all the noise in your head, which when I probed a little bit further, determined that most of the people that have asked that question are talking about the busyness in their mind, the doubts, the worldly thoughts. So we're going to go at this, we're going to get both of those topics together and see where it goes. First of all, acknowledging that there's a lot of noise in your head is a huge portion of the battle. If we recognize that there is all this activity that's keeping us focused on other things, if we are recognizing that we are in a position where we can't get quiet, that in itself, that awareness in itself is a step in the right direction. Okay? There's a reason why we are supposed to take captive of our thoughts. Yeah, it's to protect us from sin, and yeah, it's help keep us on point with regards to, what's best case scenario for us and what the Lord wants from us and for us and through us. But also, when we take captive our thoughts and we start recognizing what it is that we're entertaining in our mind, we can start doing a personal inventory of sorts. What it is that we're believing, what it is that we're entertaining that does not reflect the integrity or the character of the Father, of the Lord. When we are entertaining those thoughts, whether it be pornography or envy or anything else, if it's not godly, it's taking up space in our minds. The Lord wants to be our center of everything. He wants to be our focus, and from that, He changes us, and good things come from that. His directions then are easier to be followed because we're not questioning our relationship with Him. We're just walking in our relationship with Him. So if we take captive our thoughts, then we're not being captured by this world. So if we're having a moment where we're letting our thoughts run and they're not reflecting the promises of the Father, the character of the Lord, or even our understanding of who we are, we need to focus on the truth instead of the lies that we are conforming to. The other aspect of why it's necessary we take captive of our thoughts is that if we're believing in those things that are not of God, then we're going to allow more room for the enemy to be making its way through our lives, our thought processes, how we respond, because we're giving the enemy more space. If we reject the enemy, evict the enemy from our thoughts and our mind, then we're giving more space for the Father and for the truth. Seems simple. It's not, but it is. It seems so anyway. It's very difficult to do, and it takes a lot of practice. Don't expect yourself to be able to do this the first time, the second time, or the third time. Taking captive of our thoughts is a minute by minute, moment by moment, thought by thought, day by day journey. And if you practice it on a regular basis, before you know it, you don't have to focus on taking captive the thoughts. The thoughts are already in alignment with the character of the Father, and already walking in alignment with the will of the Lord. So what are some practical applications for learning to take captive your thoughts and focus so you can hear better? Here's a couple exercises that I developed over the years as I learned to further expand my relationship with the Father, especially during traumatic times or stressful times. Um, One of which is when you're taking a shower, take a moment to close your eyes and listen to every individual droplet of water. And don't expect to be able to do this the first time, the second time, or the third time. This takes practice. But you close your eyes and you listen to the sound of the water as it hits the water, the floor, or the walls, or yourself, or whatever the water is hitting. And try and isolate the individual sounds. Determine what it's hitting. When your eyes are closed, did that hit the wall? The floor? Did it hit something else in the shower? Do you have a chair in there? Focus on the sounds. And pay attention to the tones of the water. You can almost tell the distance of how far the water went because of the way it splatted, the way it landed. Allow yourself to start listening to the amount of sound that you can take in. And when you're doing this, you're learning to hone in on the moment. Another way to do that is sitting in front of a fan. Now, let me go back to the shower for a moment. If you find yourself in that space where now you're truly focused in onto the sound of the water, you can tell what you hit, what the water's hitting. You can listen to the different tones. You can hear the magnitude of the sounds that you can hear in that small moment. Maybe at that moment, ask a delicate, gentle, easy question to God. And don't expect an answer in any one specific way. Just keep listening to the water and see if you receive a revelation or some clarity. Something as simple like that as that can be a step in the right direction. But back to the fan. If you sit in front of a fan during the summer months, and you sit in a position where you can actually focus on how the fan feels on your arm. And once you get into that moment of focus, pay attention to the way the fan feels on the hair of your arm. Focus on each individual sensations of those moments of when it's hitting those hairs. Can you feel individual hairs? Can you feel a grouping of them? Can you feel it on your face? And when it's on your face, what part of your face are you feeling it on? Learn to bring yourself into the moment. Find a peace in that. That peace can come from whether you're in the shower or you're sitting in front of the fan, safely of course. Don't sit too close, don't get hurt. Use some common sense. But allowing yourself to sit in the moment with a sensory experience can allow us to really hone in, focus, and help us to capture our thoughts. It's in those times that we're exercising, and we're exercising our ability to focus, to capture our thoughts, to really get into that real narrow space. Some people might call it a point of meditation or rumination or whatever you want to call it. It's being in a moment where your senses take on a different purpose. In this world, we are bombarded with bills to pay, phone calls to make, emails to return, what so-and-so said, what we have to do when we get out of the shower, how it feels, what was done to us, or what we've done to another. It's always something. There's not one person on this earth that's not being bombarded at this moment, in this day, in this month, with a crisis or a problem, concern, or a combination of all of those. It's no wonder that we feel like we can't hear or we need to learn how to hear better. It's because the atmospheres that we're entertaining are not the atmospheres that we were created for. We were created to walk in the garden with the Father. It's through sin that everything's changed. And as the world gets a little bit more chaotic, it's more and more important with every passing day that we learn to take these moments to hone in on the moment we're in, take captive our thoughts, focus on truth, recognize we can ask the questions, simple ones, complex ones. God's big enough to handle both. Try him, throw him a curveball. Ask him some silly questions. Be goofy with him. And let him decide what's best to communicate with you and how's best to communicate with you. He made you. He knows the best way to communicate with you. We think we know what's best, and we think we should dictate how it looks and how we should hear. But he created you. So let God be God and do what God's got to do and communicate with you. Get in the moment with him and experience a shower with the sound, a breeze, doesn't even have to be a fan, a breeze, and listen and pay attention to the water. Turn on a sound machine or sit at the beach by the ocean and listen to every sound around you. Close your eyes, and if you're listening to a sound machine, you can listen to the waves and listen to not just the wave, but the crashing of that wave. Maybe the seagull, how far it could be. Is it one? Is it two? It's in those moments that we are truly getting quiet. We need to get quiet in this loud world so that God can do what God needs to do to reach us. He's working for it. He's leaning into it. He's never walking away from it. He's never shirking his connection with us. But often we're too busy to recognize that we're staying busy in our minds and letting our thoughts run our lives and our agendas, instead of taking captive our thoughts and letting the Father determine what it is we do next and how he wishes to communicate. I hope that works for you. And I pray that if you have any questions or doubts that make you believe that you cannot hear, that you hear the voice of truth that says, I'm right here. Because God will never leave us nor forsake us. Sometimes we get too busy and we turn around to listen to the sound around us and forget to turn right back around and listen to him.